Hello and welcome. There are a lot of theories that I've seen in the comment sections of the Magnus Protocol videos that I really wanted to talk about in further videos, but I didn't want people to think they were just mine, and I didn't want to do like individual comment responses in every single one of those. So I figured, why not just do one big comment response video for the 9 major things that I wanted to bring up from the comments that we have so far. I'm sure we'll have more of these, so expect more of these comment specials as we go through the series, because as I said, we're doing weekly reviews. I can't just not do them. I know that right now they come in normally on Saturdays, maybe late Fridays, hopefully coming up soon, maybe in the back half of this upcoming month. My schedule will open up just a little bit and I'll be able to get the reviews out on Thursdays. That would be super ideal, to be able to get the reviews out on the same day so that we can all be talking about it together. But that's neither here nor there right now. Either way, expect more of these as we go, because I'm really excited to continue talking about Magnus, and I know all of you are as well. So let's just get into the theories that you have that I wanted to talk about, that I, again, didn't really want to present as my own, and didn't want to individually stop each episode to go, well, hey, last episode these reviews were brought up, or these theories were brought up in the comments. So I have each of the comments will pop up on screen, and you'll have the person who made the comment, because I want to make sure I give credit, and then we will get into it. The last little bit of housekeeping here that I wanted to talk about is that you will hear a little bit more of my breathing in this video and in further videos moving forward. I have reduced the noise gate considerably because I'm tired of my words getting cut off. I'm very self-conscious about my breathing. I have to listen to it whenever I edit everything. I'm a real bad asthmatic. Hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. If it does, I'm very sorry. But these were the options I had, basically, to baby the microphone and always have it right here so that you always heard every word, or to just go ahead and open it up. And so, you know, we're just gonna open it up. And so let's get into the first of many of these comments. I said that was the last housekeeping thing. There will be full spoilers from Magnus Protocol and Magnus Archives in this video. If you have only watched Protocol and have not watched Magnus Archives, you should not watch this video yet, unless you want spoilers, because we're getting deep into it here. If you only care about Magnus Protocol and you haven't started Archives yet, just wait for the review for episode 5 that's going to come out after episode 5 drops. We'll be there. I'll see you there. Otherwise, we're going to get into this.
Welcome to the full spectrum. We have so much to share.
So, let's start with a theory that was posted by A.J. Bradley that says, this isn't even more of a theory, more of an observation, and I might just be really dumb that I'm only realizing it now. And this goes into the web, one, and now maybe is on the internet. As they say here, is it just a coincidence that at the end of TMA, the Magnus Archives, the web basically won and escaped that other worlds, as was their plan the whole time? Second podcast is based upon quirky stuff going on through the medium of the World Wide Web, especially in 2023 when nearly everything's connected to the internet. I wonder, will we see statements being recorded on smart fridges and the like? And it's just the idea that the web is now on the web, and I believe this theory is 100% canon. I didn't bring it up during the videos because, again, I didn't want it to feel like I was trying to steal this commenter's theory, which is why I wanted to put it at the top of the screen there where you can see it and you know who came up with it. But I 100% endorse this theory. I think this is absolutely part of what's happening. The web is on the web now and is pulling people very easily, because we know the web was on the web before, right? But things are even more connected 2023 than they were in the Magnus Archives. So just wanted to start with this one because I absolutely think this is correct. This next one here is from, I knew this was going to happen when I did this. I had to try and read all these. Meister der Matschwutze 4597, that just basically, you know, for a moment hurt my heart as, oh, Jürgen Leitner is Norwegian, isn't he? But brought me right back with Albrecht von Clausen and everything that happened there with Schwarzwald, which means we do still have that German connection with the system and everything happening there. Schwarzwald is a very interesting statement related to the eye, of course. And if this system being coded in German comes from that Clausen, who was a good friend with Jonah Magnus. You know, it has ties there. It has ties. And I also just wanted to mention, because I really do, these comments make my day every time I get them about theories and things you have there. No, your English was great. Thank you so much. Absolutely appreciate that. I would have stuck with that Jürgen Leitner train of thought because I like to think about brutal sounds of pipe murder, and I would not have ever reconnected back to Albrecht von Clausen. So thank you so much for that. Love that episode too. Made me go back and listen to Schwarzwald again. I love that episode. I have a cat in this house named Schwarz, and I love that cat, and I don't think my wife realizes that's why I named him Schwarz, but you know, it's fine. We're going to move to the next comment. This next one is also from A.J. Bradley, and it really is exciting whenever I see somebody that's commented on a previous one have another comment. They have another theory, something new that they've thought about, and here they don't necessarily agree with me, which is fine. I definitely wanted to try and make sure that we platform some other opinions here as well and show some other ideas on how all this works, because any of these theories could be correct, right? I'm no authority on things that haven't been proven true or false yet, right? But I also wanted to mention here that they bring up the extinction. I also was an extinction believer. If you go back and listen to those episodes, you can see that I 100% was excited for the extinction to be added to the list, right? But they also ask here, and this is the part that I really wanted to hit on, if we're going to cover the ARG. And yes, I mentioned a couple times that after the middle of this month, my schedule will open up a little bit. I'm going to then start doing a deep dive into the ARG. And I have gotten enough at this point to feel like I know the crux of the story of the ARG, but I don't want to make a video on the ARPG off of, I keep trying to say a RPG, like action RPG. I don't want to try and make a video on the ARG covering other people's work. I want to put my own work in. I don't really think it's right to just go, yeah, and here's what everybody else found, without digging in and trying to find some of the stuff myself and trying to lay out everything. And even if I do wind up having to do, hey, here's what other people found, obviously there's going to be credit given. I can't stand the idea of just taking from other people's work. So, which I guess in some ways is what I already do with these videos, but I try to put back my own theories into it, so it's not just me talking about somebody else's work. It's instead me getting excited about somebody else's work and trying to make sure other people find it as well. Anyway, just wanted to mention that because, yes, we will be covering the ARG. It probably won't be until like March, though, maybe even April, but my goal is March to be able to get a video out on the ARG in March, because I agree, I think it will have real significance on the series. This one is from Ellis Can't Sleep. Eilis Can't Sleep? I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry if I said it wrong. Thanks for the compliment, first off. Made my day. Second off, talking about how Norris's statements have revolved around the death of a loved one, and a loved one coming back wrong, and then, you know, guilt over killing a loved one. And then Chester's statements being about the Magnus Institute, which was John's whole thing, right? And then, of course, we now have Augustus's statement after this comment was made, which is about, you know, power and gaining power, which we're going to see in another comment here in a minute. But it really just stands out to me that this is 100% correct. So far, at least, all of Martin's statements have been around loss and grief and fear, and it all tying in together, right? Whereas all of John's statements have been about the Institute itself and things, weird things going on there. And as they say here, maybe the dangers of curiosity. And then we know that Augustus's statements have been about power. So I think this one is 100% correct as well. But we have some more to talk about with that in an upcoming comment, which is this one. And this one has ties in a couple other things too. So we're going to come back to this one by Siren_EXE5729. But here, the JMJ thing, they say it's probably a red herring. It could be. It absolutely could be, right? But Augustus 100% is Jonah Magnus, as we said. I agree with that 100%. The statement here is about power, status, everything he had and more to achieve it, and it is just Jonah. So if we tie that back into what was just said about Martin and John, I feel like that is a theory I'm 100% on board with, and if you see me reference it in the future, know that I got it from the two commenters here that I've shown. We're going to come back to the part about the obsessions up there, because that is the biggest theory that I haven't talked about yet, and I want to cover all of those comments at once. So first, we're going to talk about this last episode that came out, episode 4, in a little bit more detail here, because this is a really fun theory from Finnick Witch, which is this man, the author, right, of episode 4, maybe was James Smithson of the Smithsonian, right? The illegitimate son of his father, Hugh Percy. He restored Alnwick Abbey, Einik Abbey, I guess. I always say that wrong. I went over it before the review, just over and over again, trying to make sure I could say it right. And I don't think I actually said it in the review. I think I cut around it so that I wouldn't have to say it terribly. But this is a really cool theory, and I like it a lot. Time's a little timey-wimey there, but he left everything to his nephew, and, you know, it all seems to come together pretty well. And then, of course, they bring up the alchemical symbols as well, which I wanted to jump into, and the Philosopher's Stone and everything there, that we can see some of that, which I only realized because of the ARG and the work that other people put in there, in the actual logo itself. And, of course, the person that was supposed to have discovered the Philosopher's Stone is the German philosopher Albertus Magnus. There's a very good chance that that actually winds up just being Jonah's father or something, and then that is how he found the ability to be able to switch bodies using alchemy and the power of the eye, right? It's very possible that's how it's all going to come out, but I definitely wanted to mention Finnick Witch here because that's such a cool shout-out. In all my digging, I never connected Hugh Percy, James Smithson, Einik Abbey together to be able to get that connection. I was so focused on the Royal Orchestra and everything there, on the Mannheim School, that I completely missed that. So I wanted to throw that out here. And again, like I said, we'll probably do one of these every so many episodes when there's enough theories that I haven't talked about yet, and we'll definitely highlight ones like this. Next up, we have just a few more before we get into the obsessions theory, which is, again, like I said, the biggest theory that people want me to talk about, or that want to make sure I know about at least. And this one is from Uffish2, which is one theory that I saw that you haven't addressed quite head on, is the idea that Freddy, FR3-D1, is a character in their own right, and not just the manifestation of the will of John Martin and Jonah, and instead they have been trapped inside Freddy. And they mentioned Annabelle Cain. I have seen a lot of people wanting Annabelle Cain to come back. I didn't realize before I did the first set of reviews for the Magnus Archives how much people love Annabelle Cain. I thought for sure, like, the big characters people really loved were obviously the main cast, and then, like, Helen and Michael. But no, people love Annabelle Cain, and I'm not opposed to Annabelle Cain coming back at all. Let me clarify that. I don't dislike Annabelle Cain. It just really surprised me to see how much people liked Annabelle Cain. It's entirely possible that Freddy is Annabelle, or is an aspect of the web, or a different avatar of the web. There is a very real chance that avatars of the web don't have to be people anymore, and it can instead be like low-grade AI that advances, you know? I'm not saying that like ChatGPT is working for the web, but you take something like ChatGPT and you give it a supernatural twist, and suddenly it becomes a lot more sinister. So, you know, just something to think about. Just something to think about. But yeah, it could also be that, you know, the web is going to try to change things to be more in power than it is right now. Colin definitely talks about, as is said here, Freddy as an entity, as a thing, as a whole system wrapped up together, and it definitely leads to some very interesting ideas that can come off of there. So I definitely wanted to mention this one, because it absolutely could be. I don't know that I necessarily think it's Annabelle or the web, but Freddy is something, and I don't yet know what, but we'll find out. And the last one that I wanted to mention here before we get into the big theory is this one here by Zuri Elysium 27, which is the phrase from episode 4, sitting by the fire, he probed gently into how I came to be there, and I found myself disclosing, with a candor I did not intend, the unvarnished truth of not only the night just past, but my life up until that moment. Which, as they say, that sounds like a statement from the Eye, you know? I like, and we're going to get to the desire obsession theory. We're going to get there. I like the idea that this is an avatar of the Eye. I'm still leaning on my hunt and end coming together theory, or hunt and slaughter coming together. There's a lot of different ways it could work out, but we'll see, right? We're getting more and more that allows us to see that if things are the same, I don't think they are, but if they are the same, yeah, this guy probably works for the Eye. If they're not the same, this could be some kind of weird blend of three, right? And I think there's a lot of things they could do with a fractured Smirks 14, right? I think there's a lot of different options there. It's also just as likely that this guy's just an avatar of the Eye, and he's got all this cool stuff because he's collected it over the years, you know? So we shall see. All right, let's talk about the desires theory, the obsessions theory, right? Siren_EXE5729 gives one of them, and then we have a follow-up from Ufish2 again. So this is the big theory that I've had most people asking me to talk about or to consider. Most people saying, hey, have you thought about this? And Siren, I think, gives a really good breakdown here that I wanted to follow up on. So they even mention here that they didn't come up with it. But what if, where the archives was about fear, Magnus Protocol is about obsession, desire, something you want so desperately that everything else falls away. And as they say in these, the fear has been there, but the fear has fallen away when it comes time for the thing they wanted most, right? So we have the killer, Dr. Weber, that winds up, he wants more than anything to have his wife back and to get away. He gets away, the fear of getting caught is gone, then he wants his wife back. And when she comes back to him, he doesn't really seem to care too much about the fact that he's turning into a tree. There's a brief moment where he says that a part of him is still afraid, but it doesn't matter anymore, you know? They also say here, Siren does, that it would explain why nothing fits neatly into the 14, because it would be an entirely different way that everything would work. That wouldn't work as the 14 anymore. It would be something different. We can also tie that in with the man from the 4th episode. That could be an Eye avatar, that could be whatever, right? The man with the sack, that if he's carrying around people's desires and he knows deep down what they want, then maybe he is delivering people the thing that they obsess over, right? Because episode 4 is about a man that obsessed over status and power that he couldn't gain, right? Episode 2 and episode 1, back to back, right? We have the painter that wanted to be more, that wasn't satisfied with the way she looked now and wanted to look like something else. That's definitely a desire, right? Then we have Red Canary that desperately wanted to find out more, that had that hunger to know more about what happened to the Magnus Institute. And then, of course, we have the woman that just wanted her husband back. Each one of these can be about fear, absolutely, but they can also be about desire and obsession. And if you ask me today, well, which one do I think it is? I can't tell you for sure, because this theory is very plausible. It would make a lot of sense. It would tie up a lot of the loose ends. I still like the idea of the splintered 14 more, right? Or the fused 14 more. But this is just as, if not more so, as likely than that. And so that's where we'll get into Ufish's follow-up here. That's the wrong comment. Ufish's follow-up here, which says that obsession's drowning out fear, and that it has fun parallels to us, to the audience that are supposed to be scared. We're supposed to be creeped out by what's happening, but instead we're excited, we're stoked, and we're trying to figure everything out. We have that obsession that leads to wanting more knowledge, that is that primal fear that isn't really a fear, but it is housed in fear, right? The fear of the unknown and the obsession to quench that fear and to know what is truly out there. The desire to read that book, no matter what it's going to do to you, right? It's the entire premise that, as I mentioned in the 4th episode review, the music of Eric Zahn is built on, right? And what it does to the man in that story just completely unravels, you know? It is ultimately what a lot of us want from horror. It's that desire to know why it's really happening, know how it's really happening, to understand it even at great cost to ourselves. So it's incredibly possible, not just entirely, it is very possible that that's what this is about. And I am more than happy to eat crow if it winds up that by episode like 10 or 11, we've found out, yeah, it's about obsession. It's not about fear. I also think that in some ways, the avatars in Magnus Archives were about obsession. And so what if it's flipped now and the regular people have the obsessions and the avatars have the fear? We'll see. It could be any which way, right? I'm really curious to hear all of your thoughts about all of these, and I very much appreciate everybody that took the time to comment. Not just the ones that told me how much they appreciated the videos and how much they loved them and all the cool stuff that I brought up. That makes me feel good, you know? That makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. But I also definitely appreciate everybody that's like, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, this is my theory. This is what I've thought about. And I even appreciate the people that are coming out and going, hey, you said this in your Magnus Archives Season 1 review. That was not that fear, man. That was this. Because it gives me an excuse to go back and listen to that episode and be like, hey, you know what? You were right. I got to listen to this cool episode again. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love talking about this. If you want to talk about it with me, please do. And I'm looking forward to the rest of Magnus Protocol weekly reviews. Let's go. And I hope you'll all be there with me. Until next time, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that the Magnus Archives has to offer.
Welcome to the full spectrum.